Yeah, it looks like Nintendo's scraping the bottom of the barrel now. We just got some new Switch Online games to get excited about. One for the NES and two for the Super Nintendo. The year's about half over, and this is our third update to the Switch Online, NES, and Super Nintendo games. I just think they're running out of shit to give us for our subscription fee. Just kind of like, yeah, bottom of the barrel now. Now, if you love these games, that's great. I don't care. But these are like simply forgettable games in my opinion. I'm not saying Data East or Jalico games are garbage. There are plenty of releases from them that I've liked. But these are titles that have continually been easy for companies to license. You've had the Super Nintendo titles we just got on multi-carts officially released in the past by Retrobit and also put on plug-and-plays out the ass. Every AtGames machine from the past few years have these games on it. I bet you my poor ass could probably acquire a license to these games and put them on some nonsense and sell them. They got to be cheap, man. Everybody's licensing these games. It's kind of crazy. But okay, let's get to the game. So we got Conans Caper. This is a mediocre platformer where you play as some kind of hybrid monkey human boy thing, beating up cavemen and dinosaurs, right? Now, I don't know what the fascination with cavemen was back in the early 90s, but maybe Brendan Fraser and Pauly Shore had something to do with it. Or now that I'm thinking about it, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, Encino Man came out like before Conans Caper for the Super Nintendo, but like there was a buttload of like cavemen games around that time, before and after. It was just like the craze. It's crazy. Like seriously, go back, look at what caveman games were released back in the 80s and 90s. There's a lot of them. Now, Conans Caper, it's not a bad game by any means. It's just kind of run-of-the-mill average, in my opinion. Not memorable. There's nothing that really makes the game stand out. And that's why it's kind of a pass for me. Now, the second game we got is Rival Turf for the Super Nintendo. So cool, we got to beat 'em up. Yeah, and this one you can play as two characters, with one of them looking like M. Bison if he was part of the Village People. This game's also mediocre in my opinion. And the box art to this game is like really 90s as fuck, but not in a good way. Like 90s as fuck could be a good descriptor, but not in this sense. You got two young dudes ready to defend their turf. I mean, it looks like they should be doing chores and homework in my opinion. The character sprites look like middle-aged men. I mean, I don't know who thought this box art was any good back in the day. I mean, look at the Japanese version box art. At least it kind of matches the game. But in the US, we get this kind of stuff. I mean, if I saw this crap back in the day, I wouldn't be like, oh, sweet, look, these dudes are edgy as all heck. I got to play this game. It just looks generic to me. And that's exactly the best way I can describe the gameplay. Generic. It sucks ass. Rival ass. Two-player action. Yeah, you could play this game two players online. Sweet. But stay away from each other because it turns into a game of grab ass, trying not to hurt each other. Looks a little erotic at times, but okay, yeah, let's move on. A little too much there, I guess. Now, the NES can't be left out. So, what we get? We got Pinball. Yay, Pinball. Just Pinball. That's what it's called, Pinball. Simple. Such an awesome game. I mean, if it was still the 80s anyway. I don't know. There were other pinball games released back in the day, and there was a few of them I really liked, for different video game systems and whatnot. But this one just never tickled it for me. It was a black box release that came out early for the, NES and Famicom. It's just okay, but I don't really have any desire to revisit it now. It's just kind of putting me to sleep playing this game. So, okay, if these are the games we got in the US, what did the fine folks over in Japan get? Well, mostly the same, but with one difference. They got some weird-ass game called Umahara Kawase. If I said that incorrectly, I don't care. Whatever. I'm not Japanese. I don't speak Japanese, so it is what it is. But yeah, they got that game for the Super Famicom instead of Conans Caper. But you know what? It may be a little different of a game, but it's fresh to me. It's an interesting one. I'd much rather have this game than what we got for the Super Nintendo this time around. I mean, it's a little weird. You're playing as like some girl like with a rope and like rappelling off of things, grabbing fish and creatures, and I don't know where you're putting them in your backpack or something. I don't know. It's an interesting one. May not be the best looking Super Nintendo game ever. It's got like this weird like where they used realistic photos for the backgrounds, but I don't think it really meshes well with the game, with the overall like look of everything. But it was still an interesting one to play a little bit of. Now, I mean, really, what else can they give us for the Super Nintendo and NES on this service, right? I mean, it seems like most of the first-party heavy hitters have been released. The easy stuff that companies will license out to anyone is pretty much all we're getting now. I feel like all the big third-party stuff is most likely being held back by those companies because they don't want to dip in the sales of, like, you know, re-releases or potential re-releases. Like, where are the Squaresoft games? And don't go telling me Breath of the Fire counts just because it has the Squaresoft logo on the box art, because it doesn't. That's a Capcom game. The first one was just published by Squaresoft at that time. I mean, well, they also assisted with the English localization and the marketing of the game, you know, because Capcom in the US, they just didn't have experience with, you know, releasing games like this. But still, it doesn't count. It was a game developed by Capcom. Where's Chrono Trigger? The Final Fantasy games, Secret of Mana, Secret of Evermore. We ain't getting none of that stuff, right? Now, besides Square, who else are we missing on the NES and Super Nintendo? Konami, that's one for sure. I mean, I think we got one Konami game on the NES side, which is actually listed 3 times. Now, Gradius is in the list with an additional 2 listings of special releases, you know, where they start you off at a different level in the game, powered up, that kind of thing. But it's the same damn game, listed 3 times. Just fluffing out that list, like filling it up, right? Multiples of the same game. We've talked about that quite a bit lately, right? You know, oh, and also Konami side, we did get one other game. We got the European release of Poppin' Twin B. That's how you say it. I'm like Twin B, not Twin B. So that game was from Konami, and we have that on the Super Nintendo side. Never released in the US back in the day, so cool, I guess, but no Contra, no Castlevania, and, like, what's up with Tecmo? Where are the other Ninja Gaiden games? I mean, frickin' A, these bastards, man. There's so many holes in the releases here, even from companies that have put games on the Switch Online service. Like, they just hold back certain things, it looks like. And it's kind of getting a little like, I mean, I have other options to play these games, but what else can they give us? I think it's getting a little stale. I'm getting a little stale here. If we're not going to get any of the kind of stuff I've mentioned here today, then let's shift our focus to some other consoles. Start giving us Game Boy games, Game Boy Advance games. Throw Virtual Boy up there. I mean, why not? You could do it, Nintendo. It's not like you're going to be losing money on it. Like, nope, like you're not selling Virtual Boy compilations or anything. Like, throw some Virtual Boy up there. Give us some color palette options, that kind of thing, right? It is what it is. Let me know what you guys would like to see on this service that a lot of us are paying for. I'm probably not even playing these games beyond, like, the first hour after they go up. Let me know. Catch you next time. Bye.